This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
It's Monday, June 8th. Breaking now on Good Morning Indiana. Gunfire across the Circle City leaves 2 people dead and sends multiple people to the hospital. We're live with the details we're learning from police this morning.
Peaceful marches against police brutality continue here in Indiana and across the country.
Coronavirus continues to have an impact on Hoosier families.
After I went back and reviewed the receipt, there was a pack of cigarettes.
This morning, the new way the virus is targeting your wallet.
The roads leading to a Johnson County landmark are closed. Working for you why the future of this icon leans on a meeting today.
It is 6 o'clock here on your Monday morning. Thanks so much for joining us here on Good Morning Indiana.
And we do want to wish you a happy work week as we jump right into another Monday. Raphael, good morning to you down there in Johnson County. Hope you had a good weekend.
Ladies, hello to you on a new work week. And of course, it's going to be a great day to get out of this living room and Todd Clausen to get out of your basement to enjoy the early morning hours. Good morning to you.
Raphael, good morning to you. Yeah, it's going to be great this morning, and it's going to be pretty nice this afternoon, although it does get a little warm for some people probably a little later today. But this morning, a beautiful sunrise taking place. What do you need to grab before you go? Well, you definitely need to have the sunglasses handy once again for the day today, and have the sunscreen and the water handy, as again, highs will be in the upper 80s to even maybe 90s for some of you later on. Now, we're sitting in the 60s right now. It's very comfortable. If you want to exercise this morning, probably a little bit better than this afternoon, simply because the temperatures this morning are a little bit cooler. And there's a live look from downtown to the north, and not a cloud in the sky. However, there is a tropical system down to our south, and this is going to bring some big changes into the forecast starting tomorrow. One of the initial changes you'll notice a little bit today is a little more in the way of cloud cover building in this afternoon, but the humidity still remains low throughout the day today. But it's a quick warm up to 80 degrees already by the noon hour, with high temperatures this afternoon anywhere from about 86 to 90 degrees across the area. Lauren?
All right, Todd, let's take a look at your commute as you're heading out to work early this morning. This is in the downtown area. Our camera here at I-65 near St. Clair Street. You can see traffic there is moving along up to speed, both northbound and southbound between the splits. No delays to slow you down.
Breaking overnight, Metro Police responding to multiple shootings across the city. Overnight, at least 7 people were shot in the span of just a few hours. Our Kelsey Anderson is live outside IMPD headquarters this morning with a closer look at those incidents. Kelsey.
Hey, good morning, Meredith. So still a lot we need to learn this morning, but what we know right now is that there were 7 people shot in 6 different incidents over a span of 4 hours. 2 of those shootings did turn deadly. Now take a look at this map. This is where some of the reported shootings happened. The first reported incident, a double shooting, was called in around 11 last night, just north of downtown. 1 person is dead, the other in critical condition. The next happening on Canary Court, where IMPD says another victim died. On East Washington Street, another call came in, that victim awake and breathing. And over on Tibbs Avenue, another person was shot. They are said to be in stable condition. We're also told another person walked into Methodist Hospital with a gunshot wound. And the last one happened on Emerson Avenue. That person is said to be in stable condition. And as of Friday, IMPD reported 86 homicides in the Circle City since the beginning of the year, which is more than a 50% increase from homicides we saw here last year in the same time period. Now, anyone with information on those shootings that happened overnight is asked to call IMPD, or you can call anonymously at 317-262-TIPS. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
The time now is 6:03 here on Good Morning Indiana, and protests continuing across all over central Indiana. And Lauren, over the past 48 hours, we have seen demonstrations from the State House to several places across the city.
And our Alyssa Donovan is joining us live this morning with details on the demonstrations from over the weekend. Alyssa, good morning.
Good morning. Saturday's peaceful protests started at the Capitol at the State House lawn, where thousands of people participated in a sit-in. There were moments of silence, moments of chanting, and speakers talked about how there needs to be change. Following that, many of those protesters took to the streets of downtown Indianapolis, marching and continuing to spread that message. And then on Sunday, several suburbs of Indianapolis also held some gatherings. In Fishers, a gathering called Change the Narrative, How Do You See Me, drew dozens of people. The peaceful rally was to protest police brutality and to demand justice for black men and women who have died in police custody or were victims of hate crimes by civilians. Organizers say the message needs to be just as loud in the quieter communities surrounding the Circle City.
So if we come here and show them here as well, not just downtown Indy, it just helps spread the word even more.
In Fishers, protesters marched alongside police, the organizer saying she wanted to start a dialogue with officers, a sentiment not shared by many of the protesters marching in downtown Indianapolis the day before, several of whom held signs that read "Defund the Police." And talking about police presence during the protests over the weekend, we did notice that the sit-in at the Capitol, there wasn't a lot of police presence. They kept their distance. We saw some National Guardsmen as well as a few state police, but they kept their distance, and then IMPD officers mostly were in charge of traffic control when it came to the march. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. House Democrats plan to introduce a policing reform bill later today. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi says that it will come from the Congressional Black Caucus. The legislation comes amid protests over the death of George Floyd at the hands of police officers. It seeks to address racial profiling, excessive use of force, and qualified immunity for police officers. The bill also will try to improve trust between police departments and the communities they serve. The summary shows it contains anti-lynching provisions, and it would create a national police misconduct registry.
Here at 6:06, now to the latest on the toll the coronavirus pandemic is taking on Hoosier families. According to the state health department, more than 2,100 Hoosiers have died from COVID-19. 11 of the newly reported deaths happened between May 18th and Saturday. 12% of Hoosiers tested for coronavirus have tested positive. Today, Mayor Joe Hogsett will discuss how funds from the CARES Act will help Marion County in the fight against the coronavirus. The request will go to the City County Council tonight. It includes expanding funding for contact tracing, aid for small businesses, PPE for nonprofits, and additional resources. Hogsett is scheduled to speak at 10:30 this morning. You can look for updates on the RTV6 app and the IndyChannel.com. Raphael.
The future of a well-known natural landmark here in Johnson County could be determined today. If you drive out into the country here in Johnson County, it seems that everyone knows about the leaning tree.
So it's a family place.
It just makes your heart happy to see it, and sometimes you're scared and go like this, so it's going to fall on you.
Beyond the barricades on Airport Road in Franklin is the leaning tree.
I think for Johnson County, it's more of a natural landmark.
The tree has been around since the late 1800s. Crystal Hickey recalls her great-grandmother talking about taking a buggy with her sisters to the tree. She was born in 1895 and lived to be 103 years old.
This is the cool part.
Shannon Long and her family live nearby.
This is 2 trees. But if you look up about midway, it is one complete tree. So they have over time grown together.
She and others were surprised when the barricades went up. But the Johnson County Highway Department says, based on one complaint, it had an arborist inspect the tree. The initial report, the county says, shows the tree may not be safe due to interior rot of the base. The road approaching the natural landmark is now closed until a final decision is made about its future.
If it is truly dangerous, yes, it absolutely has to come down. And we would never dispute that. I'm going to get emotional to say goodbye.
You really love that tree.
Yeah, I do.
People really love that tree. We will post a letter from the County Highway Department on our website, theindychannel.com, as well as the RTV6 app. And the county commissioners will discuss the future of the tree at 3 this afternoon. Lauren?
A lot of people waiting for that decision, Raphael. Thank you. The Rebound Indiana is our commitment to provide you with resources as the Hoosier State bounces back from the coronavirus pandemic. So new at 6:14, I'll show you how the state's mental health providers are adapting to the new normal. Todd.
And Lauren, it's a beautiful day on tap for us here across central Indiana today, but things will be changing as we get into the day tomorrow. That's because the remnants of Tropical Storm Cristobal will bring the threat of severe weather, very windy conditions, and some localized heavy rainfall. We'll talk all about it coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. The time now is 6:09. Stay with us. We're back in just a couple minutes.
As we adapt to a new normal, the Rebound Indiana is working to make sure you know where to turn for mental health support.
And so our mission every day through the Rebound Indiana is to provide you the resources to get you through the pandemic.
And so today we look at Bowen Center, the largest community mental health center in the state, to see how mental health services are now adapting to this new normal.
It's so important for people to have a lifeline, especially when they're experiencing this pandemic-imposed isolation.
And Dr. Richard Rorold, chief psychologist for Bowen Center, says the ability to provide continuation of care for patients is critical. Thankfully, Bowen Center was already preparing to move into that virtual space, and they tell us they've been seeing successes over the past few months.
And our psychiatrists, they almost took no dip at all, and now they're seeing about 5% more patients.
Kurt Carlson is the president and CEO.
It sounds like this has been pretty successful for you guys, getting into the homes, helping people, not necessarily face-to-face, but virtually. What parts of this are you guys going to continue on or take with you as we go past the COVID-19?
Our psychiatrists and nurse practitioners are really finding this to be a valuable experience for them. If they have an opening in their schedule, they're taking people from all around the state.
Group therapy sessions have been more interactive. Outpatient show rates have increased since going virtual. Inpatient services like recovery center services have remained in person, but the telehealth option has provided more flexibility in care for other areas. And Dr. Rorold says the telehealth services has helped them to better serve some of their most vulnerable by removing barriers like transportation and mobility issues, geographical challenges, the fear of infection by COVID-19, and it also bypasses the barrier of stigma.
There are some people who simply, out of fear, out of shame, just won't consider walking into a counselor or mental health or addictions building.
And for Bowen Center, phone conversations have led to life-altering decisions.
We've been able to intervene and prevent at least a couple of suicides that I was aware of, specifically because we were able to walk somebody through a crisis on the phone.
And while there are challenges to treating patients virtually, the overwhelmingly positive response to this type of care could help telehealth services become a bigger part of our new normal.
How did they compare a telephonic or televideo service to a face-to-face experience? And then did they think it was beneficial? And 80 to 90% of people gave positive responses to both of those questions.
Now, as for the cost, 95% of the patients at Bowen Center have some sort of insurance coverage. But for the patients unable to cover their portion, the center does offer charity care to ensure that money is never a barrier to anyone receiving mental health care. If you're interested in learning more about the telephonic or in-person services through Bowen Center, you can find much more information. It's on our website, theindychannel.com/rebound. It is 6:15. It's Monday morning now. Let's get a check of our forecast as we start a new work week with Todd at home. Hey, TK.
And Lauren, good morning to you. It's a great start to our work week weather-wise here across central Indiana. I really think you're going to like the forecast, at least today. probably not so much as we get into the day tomorrow, as there's a lot of issues that'll be heading our way. And one of those issues is going to be the humidity. Today, the dew points are in the mid-50s, and as you see highlighted in green there, that's a very comfortable place to be. Tomorrow, though, look what happens to the dew points. They surge up to 70 degrees, and that's a very uncomfortable place to be. Think more tropical-like down across parts of Florida and the deep south throughout the summer. So it's going to become very humid tomorrow. That is going to set the stage for the potential of some strong to even severe storms as the remnants of Cristobal make its way through the area. So as we go throughout the day today, mostly sunny skies from start to finish, with the exception of late in the day, some high thin clouds will start to make their way into our area with high temperatures that will be in the mid to upper 80s across the area. So you can see some of those high thin clouds already starting to make their way through Tennessee. They'll push through Kentucky and eventually here into central Indiana. However, the remnants from this tropical system are going to go up through Arkansas, through Missouri, and then kind of western portions of Illinois. So we'll miss out on the heaviest of the rain with the center of that storm system. However, the eastern side of these storm systems are typically the ones that contain the most rotation in some of those feeder bands within thunderstorms to potentially produce a few quick isolated tornadoes. So throughout the day tomorrow, the humidity comes way up, as we mentioned. The winds come up as well, and the rain chances. We're looking at winds between 10 to 25 miles per hour, but there will be some gusts tomorrow up to near 40 miles per hour with some of those storms as they come through. So wind is the highest threat tomorrow. There will be a medium threat of a few isolated tornadoes as it makes its way through the area. They should be just brief spin-up tornadoes, the kind that kind of touch down and pop up, rather than ones that are on the ground in a typical severe weather event with supercells that last for a long period of time. Probably not going to see those, but again, there will be the potential of a few isolated spin-ups tomorrow and some locally heavy tropical-like downpours as well. A few showers linger into Wednesday morning. It remains breezy, but once we get through Wednesday, a beautiful stretch of weather Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with lower humidity levels and temperatures in the 70s and 80s. Lauren.
All right, Todd, let's take a look near the downtown area as you're heading in here on I-65. This is a view near West Street and MLK where traffic is picking up this morning in both directions. Everything's moving along up to speed, and that is the great news if you're heading out the door at this early hour. We will continue to keep you updated.
Artists in the Circle City are using their talents to send a message.
So this morning we want to take you to Mass Avenue in downtown Indianapolis, where more murals are being painted on businesses boarded up amid the protest. This is something you really want to see. Local artists Gentry Parker and Elijah Norwood designed this painting in front of Grand Union Tattoo in honor of George Floyd. It features a sunflower above a silhouette where people can stand and take a picture in a pledge to end racism and police brutality.
Sadly, my grandparents had to protest, my mother had to protest, and here I am today. And I hope to paint a world or create a world in which my children won't have to do the same.
You can learn more about their mural and see others in the downtown area by going to the RTV6 app.
Well, lots of people have turned to services like Instacart and Shipt to do their grocery shopping. New here at 626. Why some people say they're getting billed for items that they never received.
And a 9-year-old and her friends are selling bracelets to help raise money for the people and businesses in her community who need it most. Their inspiring message of unity coming up on Good Morning America. But first, we want to say good morning to people all over central Indiana. It is 6:20. This is a live look over the Circle City right now. The sun rising, beautiful sunrise out there. You're watching Good Morning Indiana. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. It is 6:22. Here's a live look right now at traffic south of downtown I-65 here. A look near Keystone Avenue, where we still have that ongoing major construction work at the bridge there over Keystone. You can see the traffic shifting up ahead. Just use caution and take it slow. Watch for workers in this area.
Okay, now trending at 6. We all know what this means. Right?
Yes.
Well, National Guardsmen dancing the Macarena here, as you can see. This happened at a protest, believe it or not. This was at a demonstration in Atlanta, Georgia, adding a light moment to the situation. The demonstrations sparked by national outrage over the death of George Floyd, as well as other members of the African-American community in recent weeks. Following the collaborative dance routine, the protesters largely dispersed, leaving the area before the city's curfew.
It's like a flash mob.
Pretty good.
Okay, so 200 cars joining this caravan of well wishes. This is in Hempstead, New York, to celebrate this year's graduating class from the Academy Charter School. 95 students were each allowed 2 guests to watch them receive their diplomas on stage before the drive-by celebration. The ceremony was even more special because it was the school's first graduating class. Wow. Congratulations.
I love the colors. Very vibrant.
I do too,
there. Yeah. A shout out this morning to Antonio Patton. This is the proud father on his daughter's wedding day, but today we acknowledge him for his efforts in assisting downtown businesses remove the graffiti from the walls after some of those protests. Members of the City Life Youth for Christ organization and other groups have participated in several volunteer events since last Monday. So congratulations to him and to all the groups. But on this Monday, let's check your forecast with TK. Good morning, Todd.
Raphael, good morning to you. A great start to our day here across the area. We have clear skies this morning and low humidity and temperatures that are pretty comfortable, sitting in the 60s. However, with the sunshine, we will see our temperatures warm very quickly throughout the day today. In fact, by the noon hour, we're up to 80 degrees. And one of the reasons why we're able to warm so quickly today is the lack of humidity around. We don't need the sun to warm the air and all the moisture in the air. So as a result, the actual temperature will warm quicker than it normally would on a very muggy day. And here's where our highs are going later on this afternoon. 90 in Columbus, about 90 in Bloomington, as well as Terre Haute. Lafayette, you've been running a little bit warmer the past couple days, so we'll put you at 92 degrees with those mostly sunny skies. You will notice some high thin clouds starting to impact the area as we get into the afternoon and evening hours, but today we remain dry. Tomorrow, thunderstorms enter the forecast. A lot of wind in store for the day tomorrow as well, and the potential of a few isolated tornadoes embedded in some severe weather. More on that in the forecast coming up in the next half hour.
All right, Todd, thank you. Well, grocery pickup and delivery services have just exploded in popularity since the pandemic began. But along with that popularity is also a growing number of complaints.
Working for you, John Mattery shows what to watch out for so you don't waste your money.
Trying to avoid the grocery store to stay safe these days? Well, order from Instacart and have those groceries brought right to your door. But some customers claim the people grabbing their groceries may be helping themselves as well. How popular is grocery pickup right now? Just look at this line of cars. Terry Angel loves the convenience, but is getting concerned with mysterious charges that keep showing up on her bill.
After I went back and reviewed the receipt, there was a pack of cigarettes
at more than $7.
Some brand I haven't heard of that were purchased on and put on our click list.
Another day she was billed for Red Bull energy drink.
I guess they were thirsty and needed some energy and decided to add on a Red Bull.
She wonders how many other charges she's missed. A check of online complaints finds very few cases of something being added to an Instacart order like this. However, there are many complaints about customers ordering and paying for something, and then that item never shows up. A report in USA Today claims a growing number of customers accuse Instacart shoppers of stealing their groceries, and Instacart's Facebook page is filled with complaints. You know, it's pretty much inevitable. Instacart says orders have surged 300% this year. It says in these rare instances, customers should contact Instacart Care to have their order refunded. Terry has one other piece of advice. Go over your receipt every time. Instacart tells us it's committed to resolving customer problems and recently added a missing items feature to its app and website so you don't waste your money. I'm John Mattery. Good morning, Indiana.
John, thanks. For more cost-saving tips and ideas, you can visit the money section of our website, theindychannel.com.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Now on Good Morning Indiana on this Monday morning, here's your 6:30 news feed. The city continues to mourn the loss over the weekend of one of the city's most prominent philanthropists. Crystal DeHaan died at her home at the age of 77. She created Crystal House and helped establish schools to help poor children around the world. The Han also provided funding for a number of arts initiatives right here in central Indiana.
4 people are dead after a 2-car crash out in Union County. State police were called around 3:30 Sunday afternoon to this crash scene on 9 Mile Road. Police believe a car was speeding in the southbound lanes when it ran off the road, overcorrected, hitting another car head on. The collision killed a woman from Richmond driving the first car, as well as 3 people in that second car.
Letter carriers are continuing to support the daughter of Angela Summers. Summers is the postal worker who was shot and killed in April in Indianapolis. The Angela Summers Memorial Ride on Sunday featured 575 motorcycles and cars and raised a total of $23,000. The money will go towards establishing a trust fund for Angela's daughter.
The churches around the state, and especially in Marion County, are still taking their first steps in reopening to in-person services. At St. Christopher Catholic Church in Speedway, this was the first weekend that parishioners were allowed to be in church to attend Mass. The Archbishop has suspended the requirement for Catholics to attend Sunday Mass through August the 15th. St. Christopher will begin in-person daily Mass beginning today.
And this morning, there's no curfew in Marion County, and there aren't any plans to have more in response to the protests. Mayor Hogsett made that announcement Sunday on Twitter. His tweet there also praised those who took part in this weekend's downtown protest, calling the turnout, quote, record-breaking. We'll have more on the weekend protests and a live report coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana.
It is 6:30 here on your Monday morning. Thanks for waking up with us.
Yeah, we do want to toss things down to Rafael Sanchez. Wish you a good morning in Johnson County.
Good morning to you all. It's going to be a great day maybe for Todd Clausen to head out to one of the stores out there on Mass Avenue, fill a basket up for the team, and take us on a picnic 6 feet apart. Todd?
I do plan on getting out and about later on this afternoon, so maybe, Raphael, I may have to do that for you here. Go pick up some things. Outside right now, we're dealing with skies that are brightening all across central Indiana. As you look from downtown to the north, you can see there's not a cloud in the sky. Sunrise was officially just about 12 minutes ago at 6:17 or 13 minutes ago. 66 in Indy right now, 65 in Bloomington, 67 in Lafayette, but a couple 50s up there to the north. It's a very comfortable morning for us with the low humidity as well. Logansport at 57 degrees, Marion at 59 currently there on the thermometer. So the radar is completely quiet. The satellite picture is quiet as well, but you do notice some high clouds down across parts of Tennessee. Those are going to start to lift to the north, and those high clouds, as they start to come in this afternoon, are going to be a sign of a change. It was terrific Saturday, Sunday, and today, while it may be a little warm for some of you, it's at least going to be pretty comfortable with humidity levels that are going to remain very, very low across the area. But those high temperatures do creep into the upper 80s. Wouldn't be shocked if a few locations touched the 90-degree mark today. But tomorrow, we're talking about the potential of severe weather and also a lot more humidity heading our way. We'll detail all that for you coming up in Maine weather in just a few minutes. Lauren?
Todd, thank you. Let's take a look at traffic as you're heading out to work this morning. This is due our southeast, I-465 and Arlington Avenue. You can see the sunshine there. So again, grab those sunglasses before you take your drive this morning. Everything's moving along smoothly, both eastbound and westbound on the interstate. We'll let you know if there are any crashes or delays that might slow you down this morning.
Breaking news from overnight. Metro Police responding to multiple shootings across the city. Overnight, at least 7 people were shot in a span of just a few hours. Our Kelsey Anderson is live outside the City County building downtown with more on what we know about all those shootings. Kelsey.
Hey, good morning, Meredith. So what we know right now is that it was about 4 hours that 6 shootings took place. 7 people were shot and 2 people were killed overnight from 11 to 2 a.m. So take a look. This is where some of the reported shootings happened. The first, a double shooting, and it was called in around 11 last night, just north of downtown. 1 person is dead, the other in critical condition. The next happening on Canary Court, where IMPD says another victim has died. On East Washington Street, another call came in. That victim awake and breathing. And over on Tibbs Avenue, another person was shot. They are said to be in stable condition. Another person, we're told, has also walked into Methodist Hospital with a gunshot wound. And the last one happening on Emerson Avenue, that person is said to also be in stable condition. All of those shootings happening in the span of just 4 hours. And as of Friday, IMPD reported 86 homicides in the Circle City since the beginning of the year. That's more than a 50% 10% increase of homicides we saw last year in that same time period. Now, anyone who has information on those shootings that happened overnight is asked to call IMPD, or you can call anonymously to Crime Stoppers at 317-262-TIPS. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
The time now is 6:33 here on Good Morning Indiana, and protests against police brutality, they continued across central Indiana over the weekend. And Lauren, that includes several demonstrations held Sunday in the suburbs of Indianapolis.
And Raphael, of course, there was that massive sit-in that was held outside the Indiana State House on Saturday. Our own Alyssa Donovan was actually at the sit-in covering this for RTV6, and she joins us live this morning with more on all of this weekend's activities. Alyssa, good morning.
Good morning, Lauren. There was a lot going on this weekend for this movement. The demonstration on Saturday was massive. There were thousands of people at that sit-in at the State House on the lawn there. And I will say there were moments of silence where all you could hear was the helicopter monitoring the crowd from above. After the sit-in, people then marched around downtown Indianapolis, continuing to share their message. Meanwhile, there was some activity happening in the suburbs as well. That was on Sunday. But that Saturday protest was definitely the largest over the weekend. It started at 3 in the afternoon and initially drew thousands. Those numbers dwindled a little bit but stayed strong in the hundreds during the march around the Circle City. A large group marching from Mass Avenue to the prosecutor's office to the CCB and then to Monument Circle. The demonstration lasting into the night past the 8 p.m. curfew that was set on Saturday evening. Protesters we spoke with bringing up the past, what has been done and what has not.
My grandmother's grandmother walked for the same thing, right? So that makes generations of us fighting for the same thing. It's ridiculous.
On Sunday, protests were held in neighboring cities like Fishers, Brownsburg, and Noblesville. There was also a Black Lives Matter car processional that happened across the north side of the city that also drove past Mayor Joe Hogsett's house. That was early Sunday morning, right around 5:30. Protesters decorated their car and did perform some chants as they drove by. And then we do not know at this point if there are any protests planned for today, but we are expecting to hear more from the mayor this morning on these protests. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. Here at 6:35, we want to take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers from the state health department. 11 new deaths were reported as of Sunday. That brings the total number of Hoosier deaths to 2,121. There were also 417 new cases of COVID-19 reported. We do expect an update from the state today around noon. Some of our neighbors who are most vulnerable to COVID-19 have extra clothes, supplies, and necessities thanks to a number of generous volunteers. Sunday, several health and advocacy groups hosted an event outside of Wheeler Mission downtown to support men, women, and families experiencing homelessness. They were given free personal hygiene kits, face coverings, books, and more. Organizers say people without stable housing face extra challenges when it comes to protecting themselves from the virus.
They're just on the forefront. A lot of times some of them may be sleeping on the outdoors, and very difficult with our places of business being closed, having the ability to access resources.
Now, for many of our homeless neighbors, health care is a barrier. Many of our homeless neighbors do not have clear, easy access to health care. And so my message is very simple. At Eskenazi Health and the Marion County Public Health Department, we are honored to care for our homeless neighbors.
The president and CEO of Health and Hospital Corporation says Eskenazi community centers across Indianapolis provide free health care services to people in need.
We lost him a few months ago after a valiant battle against cancer. Next, a new book dives into the legacy on and off the racetrack of one of Central Indiana's best-known Indy 500 drivers. That story and more next, right here on Good Morning Indiana.
As motor racing begins its return, we are eagerly looking forward to the month of August and the rescheduled Indy 500. And one author is looking back at the legacy of a man who was a familiar face around the Brickyard.
He was so well respected. John Andretti lost his battle with cancer back in January. But this morning, Sports Director Dave First tells us how we can read more about what he meant to the world of racing and much more.
You've been great to us.
It was a life and career made for TV. John Andretti was on it a lot. And now his story comes in a whole new way.
I was talking with a friend, and we got to talking about John, and the idea just kind of popped up. Wow, it would be great to do a book with John.
Absolutely. And writer Jade Gerst doing just that, entitled Racer, capturing the many aspects to John's career.
I don't know that the current generation really understands the diversity that John had when it came to racing a car.
The book is great about showing that diversity and him actually detailing kind of some of the differences between all of those.
Including his most successful time in NASCAR and a win for Richard Petty in 1999.
He talks about that with great reverence. Like, I think at that moment, he appreciated understood what it meant for Richard and his team, who hadn't seen victory lane in a lot of years.
Ultimately, the book touches on his 2017 colon cancer diagnosis and the still ongoing Check It for Andretti campaign.
His goal coming out of the initial diagnosis was, I want to help other people to make sure they are not in my shoes.
The single thread through the book is family, friends, and helping others. That's always a thread underneath even the funniest racing stories.
And that includes the 23 years of his race for Riley, the annual karting event, which raised nearly $5 million. John opening up in a series of interviews about the good times and the bad.
There were days when I got there that he clearly did not feel good, did not have much energy. Mm-hmm. But after a question or two, or if I would hit on something, you could see his face light up. Personally, selfishly for me, that was a great feeling, knowing that he so enjoyed sharing a lot of the stories.
Pre-orders are available at octanepress.com with 10% of the proceeds going back to Riley Children's Hospital. He's still giving back the way John would want it. Dave First, RTV6 Sports.
Dave, thank you so much. Well, he was famous across the country, literally threw it away, and then exposed a large part of the television industry. Next, the passing of the man who forever changed television game shows. Todd.
And Lauren, it's going to be a nice day of weather here across central Indiana today. So on our scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate the day? Well, today I'm going to creep the scale all the way up to about an 8 or a 9. We'll have the sunshine. It's going to be low humidity across the area. However, we are going to be dealing with the potential for temperatures to climb up into the 90s in some locations. We'll talk all about that threat of severe weather that heads our way tomorrow as well, coming up in Maine weather in just a few minutes.
We are Value City Furniture.
Welcome back. The time right now is 6:45. It is Monday morning, and here is a live look at the sun rising over central Indiana. This is the view in downtown, I-65 and I-70 at the North Split, where traffic is traveling up to speed.
He was a legend in Indiana and around the world. Kurt Thomas was a superstar in men's gymnastics. His legend started at Indiana State University, where he led the Sycamores to a national championship in 1978. Thomas then became the first U.S. man to win a gold medal at the World Championships. He would then win 6 World Championship medals in 1979, a record that still stands today. It was tied by Simone Biles back in 2018. However, Thomas would never win Olympic gold because the U.S. team boycotted the 1988 Summer Games in the Soviet Union. Kurt Thomas suffered a stroke 2 weeks ago. His wife says he died this past Friday. He was 64 years old. The time now is 6:47. TV game shows, ladies, are still very popular, as you know. We see a lot of Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, and of course, there's been the return of some of those classics like Press Your Luck and Match Game right here on RTV6.
Well, game shows first rose to prominence in the early days of television. That is until it became public that many of them were rigged.
Yeah, so this morning we are remembering a man who helped expose one of the most popular game shows of the 1950s, who later became immortalized by Hollywood.
From New York City, Mr. Charles Van Doren, and returning with $69,500 from Forest Hills, New York, Mr. Herbert Stemple.
Well, in 1958, Herb Stempel would lose this episode of the NBC game show 21. But it was only because he agreed with the show's producers to get one of the answers wrong so that their preferred contestant, Charles Van Doren, could win. The show believed that the handsome Columbia University professor brought in bigger ratings. Stempel later blew the whistle on the show, which led to a congressional hearing that showed many of the television's early game shows were actually fixed. His story was later immortalized in 1994 Oscar-nominated movie Quiz Show. His death was not publicly announced for almost 2 months, but his sister-in-law says Herb Stempel died at his home in New York back in April. He was 93 years old.
The time now is 6:48. Tropical storm Cristobal continues to slam the Gulf Coast. Wind gusts topping 50 miles per hour churned the waters off of the Gulf. In Mississippi, at least 100 casino employees had to be rescued Sunday after floodwaters surrounded them. It was a similar scene also in Alabama as homes, vehicles, and even boats were just swallowed up by the rising water. The storm also caused flooding in Louisiana and even spawned a possible tornado in Orlando, Florida. And Todd, of course, you're keeping a track of this. Will Cristobal have an impact on our weather today or tomorrow?
It most definitely will tomorrow, Raphael. Today, we'll start to see the high clouds from that storm system make their way in here later on this afternoon. But the wind and the storm threat and the potential of severe weather really doesn't arrive until your Tuesday. This morning, it's a great start to our day across the area with plenty of sunshine, as you see from downtown to the north. And temperatures this morning, very, very comfortable. We're in the 60s with even a few upper 50s in northern locations. And as you looked off to the north there, you notice no haze out there. There was no humidity. So the humidity is not an issue for us throughout the day today. So as you kind of plan your day out, temperatures will be climbing into the upper 80s. That may be a little warm for some of you, but at least it'll be a comfortable 87 to 90 degrees across the area later on this afternoon with those high clouds starting to filter in. I would say anytime after 4 o'clock, but it will remain dry. And the satellite radar picture is really just very quiet across our area right now. We'll expand out and you can see that storm system down to the south. The clouds already starting to move through Tennessee. The track of this storm goes up through portions of Arkansas, Missouri, and then really into western portions of Illinois. And this is key. We'll avoid the center of circulation, but a lot of times with tropical systems, the feeder bands on the eastern side of these storms are the ones that spawn the tornadoes and the potential for severe weather. And we are going to be on the eastern side of the system as it works its way into our area tomorrow. Tuesday is not a washout. Everybody will deal with some really, really strong winds increasing throughout the day. But the rain and the storms really probably don't materialize until mid to late afternoon. And then as they come through, there could be some intense bands of rainfall. And within some of these storm cells, as they rotate through the area, there could be a brief spin up of an isolated tornado. We're not talking long-lived tornadoes like supercells, but definitely I wouldn't be shocked maybe tomorrow if there's a thunderstorm warning or two with maybe an isolated tornado warning as well. The western half of the state in the yellow on the left-hand side of your screen is under the slight risk for severe weather. And then you see the threats on the right-hand side of your screen. Not too concerned about hail or flooding. The rain moves through pretty quick, but winds will be an issue. Whether you see a severe thunderstorm or not, we're talking about wind gusts that could be up to about 45, 50 miles per hour. And then there's that isolated tornado threat as well as some of those bands come through. Again, that's primarily the afternoon and early evening hours tomorrow. Wednesday's still a little breezy with some scattered showers around, but once we get past Wednesday afternoon and into the latter half of the week and the weekend, another great stretch of weather is heading our way with lots of sunshine, low humidity, and temperatures that'll be running a little bit cooler in the 70s and 80s.
All right, Todd, thank you so much. Let's take a look right now at traffic as you're heading out on the roads to start your work week. This is our camera at I-465 and West Washington Street over on the west side. You can see traffic there is moving along up to speed, both northbound and southbound for your commute. The good news right now is you're heading out on the roads. No crashes to report around the metro area.
Here's your chance to own a slice of heaven, or rather your own slice of Sweden. Next, an entire spa village is up for auction. We'll show you how the price might surprise you. We'll be right back.
RTV6 app on your phone or streaming device.
The time now is 6:55. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. And Lauren and Meredith, for the record, Todd and I are here to serve you. Whatever you need, we have your back. So, if you want to own your little slice of utopia, this could be the ultimate place for you to make that getaway, but there's one string attached. And remember, Todd and I are here for you.
To pay for this, right? To pay for this entire fully functional village that's up for auction in Sweden. It's in Västmanland County, just 90 minutes north of Stockholm. The sale price a mere $7 million or so. You two have been working a little longer than us. You could fork that up. The 62-acre village of more than 70 buildings includes a church, preschool, hotel, restaurant, and spa with a pool, gym, and sauna. It also has a bottling operation to market its own spring water. It has been in continuous use as a spa town for 320 years. Christie's International Real Estate is hosting the auction. The deadline for you to submit a bid is August 16th, right in time for Lauren's birthday.
That's true. Todd's sitting at home like, I never agreed to this. I don't want anything to do with this. That's pretty crazy.
Well, we don't have to travel anywhere too far for some nice weather. That's the good news.
No, you know, the only thing I'd add there is we'll have to build like a lazy river so we can just kind of like float around with some drinks and then, you know, then hit the spa and we'll be all set to go. But the weather is great here in our forecast, at least for the day today. Gets a little inclement tomorrow with a lot of wind around, some showers and storms, and the threat of severe weather for the day tomorrow. Showers linger into Wednesday morning. Wednesday still breezy at 79, but then we enter another very, very nice stretch of weather that's going to take us from Thursday all the way into the weekend. It's a stretch that features lower humidity levels and temperatures that'll be running a little bit cooler. But again, all eyes on tomorrow afternoon for the potential of some severe weather with some wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour and maybe even a few isolated tornadoes.
Todd, thanks. We're back in 25 minutes and throughout Good Morning America.
All your news throughout the day can be found on the RTV6 app. We want to wish you a happy Monday and we hope you have a great rest